Hello and welcome to MMO Insider, where we delve into the latest MMORPGs undergoing testing each month and bring you all of the juicy details so you can find out just how they are doing as they move towards a full release. May has been relatively quiet for testing, that is right up until the very last week when all the MMOs we're reviewing decided to conduct their tests all at the same time. The very first thing we're looking at today is Tarisland, and this is going to be releasing on June the 21st, 2024, and it held its final technical test before launching on that date. Since the release is imminent, I'll keep this brief, as a full review will follow the global launch. This session focused on kind of reviewing the changes since the previous test that we've managed to be a part of. Unfortunately, the cutscenes and NPC dialogue remain problematic in Tarisland. The text does not match the voiceovers, the voice lines get cut off by rapid moving text and the animations and cutscenes. This should have been resolved by now, but it hasn't been, so this is a big factor and it really diminishes the story content within the game. On a more positive note, the game does look promising with a heavy PvE focus featuring exciting content. The challenge dungeons are kind of really high-end endgame content alongside the elite raids. It's really exciting. As a tank, I'm particularly looking forward to completing that endgame content, and the scene on the endgame looks very competitive. I've recently joined a guild. Everyone's talking about being the first team to clear all the content, so it's really exciting, very competitive, something I'm really looking forward to. One thing to keep in mind though is Tarisland has increasingly adopted more mobile friendly features like assisted skill casting and auto waypoints, which is slightly concerning. Despite this, the game appears to be a potential standout mobile MMORPG. It does avoid the typical completely autoplay mechanics that many mobile MMOs adopt. Instead, it offers progressive content and character development with challenging endgame activities requiring active play, which is not really seen very often in those mobile MMOs. And the fact that this is a PC mainstream MMO that is attached with crossplay to mobile devices is something that's going to be really interesting to see how that unfolds, especially in terms of doing that harder content. If you're somebody on PC and you've got people in your team who are playing from mobile, it'd be interesting to see how that really works. While I'm excited to play on PC myself, I have reservations about the game's long-term appeal. A significant concern is the upcoming Seasons mode, so they're naming this Season 1, which remains kind of unclear what this is. Rumours do suggest that each new season will require starting fresh. Although systems like this work in games like Fortnite and Diablo, I am hesitant to invest in an MMO if my progress is wiped with each season. The impact will depend on how quickly I can reach the end game, so if it takes 30 hours or 300 hours, that's going to make a big impact on my long-term enjoyment of this game. And also the amount of new content that they do add with each season. Overall, Tarisland has potential and has been enjoyable during the testing. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. It is free to play, but the presence of pay-to-win elements is uncertain given the developer's history with other games. My general excitement for Tarisland is a cautious 3 out of 5. Next we move on to Monsters and Memories. This is expected to release sometime in early 2026. I discovered this game at the very last minute, but managed to get about 20 to 30 minutes of playtime, so not very long. This game does boast a vast array of classes, which is a huge plus for me as I love having plenty of options. I personally chose to play as an ogre. I think I also did this last month in another game. It's something I've not really seen before, so I keep going for that ogre class, and because they also look like absolute beasts. While the class choices are impressive, the character creation options are quite limited, although the game is still in early development. During those kind of early minutes of playing, I must admit I was kind of underwhelmed. The features on the UI were massive, but the game screen was like small and had a really odd size. I soon realised that the auto resolution setting was the issue, and adjusting it helped me somewhat. As a fan of classic and retro style MMORPGs, I appreciate the nostalgia that they bring. It's something that I thrive on, I really love it. However, the performance of Monsters and Memories was kind of problematic. Objects frequently disappeared and reappeared, same with other players that were in the game, the NPCs, everything apart from the structures, making the game feel very unstable. Nothing in this game was clear or intuitive. My first task was to deliver a letter that I did find in my backpack by accident to the correct NPC listed in the letter. Without any map or any quest marker, I wandered around aimlessly. The signposts that were in the game didn't match the location name in the letter, so I was looking at the signposts, looking for the same location to point me where I'm supposed to go, and it really just added to the confusion. Attempting to attack nearby enemies proved futile, as they were too strong for a beginner, and it felt odd to place such strong enemies in a starting area. Every time you tried to attack them, it would say you're too weak to attack them, so it was really like confusing in what you're supposed to really do. I spent most of my time wandering around without accomplishing anything significant. My brief experience with Monsters and Memories left much to be desired. Given that this was an early test and the game is expected to enter early access in 2026, I'll keep an eye on it for future testing. This initial impression may not be a fair representation of the final product, but it made me question if I'd invest time in a game that not only looks retro, but feels dated for a 2024 MMORPG. My excitement level currently for this one is a 1.5 out of 5. Moving on to Wayfinder Echoes, which is re-releasing on June the 11th, 2024. The question is, why have I included Wayfinder? Well, originally, it was planned to be an MMO. I invested over 200 hours into this game during early access, very much enjoying its fast-paced dungeon looter mechanics. I made some friends along the way, I had a lot of fun. The game's potential was evident, and I was excited about its future based on the roadmap from the developers. Fast forward to May 2024, and the publisher has abandoned the project, leaving the developers to self-publish the game. Wayfinder is now being converted into a single-player game with an option to play co-op with up to 3 friends with its Echoes update. This shift is disappointing because Wayfinder was genuinely fun, although it lacked long-term content, something that was supposed to be addressed in future updates. The endless loop of grinding to level characters and weapons soon became tedious, and I can imagine without really having this online play or any future development, it's going to become even more boring in the long term. In the new version, you do have to start from scratch, and while some of the UI and menu cleanups are noticeable, the game kind of feels a bit fresher. It does still feel like the exact same game, just played solo and without any future content updates expected or any further progress. For me, this transition seems like a last-ditch effort to recoup development costs, ensuring the game isn't a complete waste of time and resources. My excitement level for this game is a 0 out of 5. And finally, for the last one in May, we had Corepunk, which is expected to release maybe sometime in 2025. I have been excited to try Corepunk for a while, and thanks to somebody sending me a code, I finally got the chance to try it out. I do love Corepunk's visual style, and heading into the game I encountered several challenges from the first quest. There's little to no direction beyond the initial interaction with the quest-giving NPC, so if you don't follow the dialogue closely, you can get stuck quickly. However, this does align with the Fog of War style gameplay, which encourages exploration, it encourages you to pay attention and look around at what you're doing. With that first quest, I was supposed to find some wood, I didn't know where it was, and I completely missed it for the first sort of 5-10 minutes of the game as I was kind of running around the forest. Corepunk's setting is more modern compared to many MMORPGs, and its NPC dialogue is both amusing and filled with contemporary slang. During the test session there were some issues. Entering certain areas of the map would result in a kick notification popping up on the screen, though it didn't actually kick you out the game. These glitches, along with delays in the test and the early finishing of the test, highlight the importance of these sessions to iron out problems before the full launch. Combat in Corepunk is straightforward but slow to develop. Initially you spend most of your time auto-attacking with skills on long cooldowns. As you level up, you unlock more abilities, improving the experience. New players might find the game's pace and difficulty surprising, as gaining levels is a slow process. When you try to fight enemies, they'll usually be in groups of 2 and 3, and you're not able to kill them with just your auto attacks. You end up getting killed by them because you're just not able to do enough damage fast enough. Upon reaching the first town, you're inundated with quests, many of which are challenging or lack clear direction or way above your current level. It requires careful listening to every single NPC and dialogue, and you also have to figure things out independently, which makes the process of completing quests fairly time consuming. I eventually realised while trying to do some of my quests that I needed specific materials to progress them, because I needed to collect materials which I needed to turn into other things which I then needed to make certain items to complete a quest. After wandering around the map and finding no nodes, running into multiple different enemy types, higher level enemies, getting killed multiple times, and kind of figuring out 1 or 2 of the quests, I did discover a small forest area containing the necessary materials, or should I say, the nodes where I had the chance of gaining the materials. I established a rotation and I collected nodes for hours. The RNG nature of gathering materials was very frustrating, but it improved as my gathering profession leveled up. And the progression of leveling up your professions is super quick in comparison to your actual levels. So I think I got to level 120 in gathering alchemy nodes, and my level was level 4 or 5. Higher levels increases your chance of finding better items, but it's a grind to get there. So you're going to have to grind out each individual profession so that you can get the materials that you need. I dread the competition for nodes during the first weeks after launch. This could cause frustration and toxicity among players, which is kind of concerning. The game's difficulty was enjoyable, bringing a sense of excitement and danger, unlike many MMORPGs targeting a casual audience. Corepunk demands attention to your surroundings. The fog of war mechanic limited view, the higher level enemies chasing you down added to the thrill. Knowing I could drop hard earned items upon death did heighten the stakes, despite the potential annoyance if that did happen. Health and mana don't regenerate on their own, so you need to stock up on food, gather items to make the food, and sometimes build a campfire to regenerate. Eventually, you can gain access to passives that help regenerate stats out of combat, making it a bit easier, but you do have to get to level 5, which is a good few hours of working through the game. I hope to participate in future tests to see how they address some of the issues from this session and improve the beginner experience. Adding more accessible level 2 to 4 quests that don't require rare materials would alleviate many of my personal concerns. Despite the testing ending sooner than I hoped, I did enjoy the kind of style of Corepunk, and I am looking forward to seeing how it develops. My excitement level for Corepunk would be a 3.5 out of 5. So upcoming in June, there doesn't seem to be much ongoing in terms of MMORPG testing. However, with the release of Tarisland and many popular MMOs rolling out new expansions and updates, I'll be busy covering all of that. Rest assured, we'll keep our eyes peeled for any testing opportunities that we can dive into. If you know of any MMOs that are testing in June, please let me know in the comments below and I will take a look. So that is everything for this video. Big thank you to our YouTube members and our Patreon subscribers for all your support. Thanks very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.